Alright, so we got some Battlefield Bad Company 2 going on our Eyefinity setup here. The point of this video is mostly about, oh, I'm leaving the combat area, is mostly about affordable Eyefinity with the Radeon 6800 series, much like the one that I recently did with the 3 HD TVs. Something that you should note is that 3 1080p monitors versus 3 1080p TVs actually requires exactly the same video horsepower and processing power. It doesn't matter how big the screen is. There are some comments on the video actually asking about that, but it does not matter how big the screen is. The only important thing is what the resolution you're running at is. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Vesta 4050, which is a new NCIX PC for this month, and how well it performs in some modern games. Hey, I stole a vehicle. So let's talk a little bit about the design process of the Vesta 4050. It is actually based on AMD's Vision Black platform. So what that means is that we're using an AMD chipset, which is required for Crossfire on a AMD platform with AMD video cards, hence the AMD Vision platform moniker. So we're using an AMD chipset in here that is Crossfire ready. We're also using AMD's 6-core processors, so even though not all of the 6-core processors actually have the black designation, they are all AMD Vision Black ready. So depending whether you get the base package or the performance package, you're looking at either the 1055 or the 1090T processors. We're also using a Radeon 6870. So this is the performance package, which means that the system we have running here has a 1090T, it has Corsair XMS3 memory, it has a WD Black Series hard drive, it also has a 6870 as well as an upgraded power supply versus the base version, and it's only $11.99 compared to $9.99 on the base package. Do you ever press the button? One advantage that a system based around AMD Vision gives you is that you know that you're going to end up with reasonably well-matched components. If you check out AMD's website, they've got lots of Vision guidelines. So for example, if you choose a CPU out of Vision Basic, you're going to end up with something that's way underpowered for a video card that's listed under Vision Black. So that comes back to the bottleneck video we actually did quite recently, where we talked about matching up your components so that they are appropriate for each other to give you a well-balanced performance experience. Now, while most modern games will run in Eyefinity mode, that is across 3 monitors, not every modern game will. So StarCraft 2 is an example of a current game that only runs in 4:3, 16:9, and 16:10 aspect ratio. So we're running in 16:10 right now. This is on a 1680 by 1050 monitor. I'm going to go ahead and start this time demo. Big props to SkyMTL, or Mike from Hardware Canucks. He actually provided us with this time demo. And the reason that's so important is because we've actually taken the results with this time demo at 1080, and that means that you can compare it against the StarCraft 2 benchmarks that Mike has actually run on his website. So if you go to hardwarecanucks.com, we actually get about 50 frames per second average and a 33 at the low point, and that's at 1920 by 1200. So you can compare that against the systems that SkyMTL is using in his reviews. So that's pretty cool. And I believe he's also going to make this time demo available to anyone who wants it in the near future, so you can compare your current system against systems that are benchmarked on Hardware Canucks against the one that we're showing here today. So we're just showing some combat sequence stuff going on here. I think this is, if you get to about 28.5 minutes into the time demo, you run into where you start to see a lot of movement, and hopefully we're getting close now. Yeah, we're getting really close. So in terms of the other benchmarks, we've already shown you the synthetic benchmarks where we scored just over 15,000 marks in 3D Mark Vantage. Here, I'm going to move so you can see the inside of the system. It's not incredibly quiet. Power consumption is very reasonable though, so even running a game right now, we're pulling about 262 watts from the wall, which means we're pulling less than 250 watts from our power supply. Now, bearing in mind that most games are not all that CPU intensive, so you're mostly taxing just the graphics card, this power supply will give you room to either configure the system with 2 graphics cards or upgrade it in the future, so that's always good to know. And what else did I want to mention? I think, okay, we got power consumption down. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for checking out this little video on the Vesta 4050 system, and don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips. Something else I wanted to mention is that with this system, we're also advertising an LCD monitor bundle, so you can actually set up 3 22-inch monitors. They're from BenQ, and it also includes the Eyefinity adapter that you need, because remember, one of the monitors has to run off DisplayPort. So it's a passive single-link Eyefinity adapter, which will allow you to run your 3 monitors without any hassle.